Puranas that from the Krishna, that is from the second divine unmanifest, comes the first divine unmanifest. Okay, the first divine unmanifest is called Brahma. Brahman, as what the way it is spelled. It's not Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. It's Brahma. Now, Brahma splits itself into two entities, which is Brahma, which is unmanifest, and second one is also unmanifest called Prakriti. Now, 2 days ago, some two people have won the Nobel Prize for Physics, I believe, which is Mr. Higgs and somebody else has won. It is talking about what is called as a God particle. Now the God particle is supposed to come out of literally nothing. Just imagine a particle getting created out of literally nothing. So we can suggest something on that pattern, that when Prakriti was dividing herself into number of parts, some of the parts became the 5 elements. See, today the entire the book of elements, like starting from hydrogen onwards, we are not talking about that. We are just taking the 5 gross elements which are there, like we say, earth is there, air is there, water is there, like that. So those divisions happened. Thereafter, various other divisions started coming into the picture, and the formation of the 3 gunas happened. The 3 gunas are sattva, rajas and tamas. All this is a domain of Prakriti. Now, the first creation out of Prakriti was this entire universe, or the Brahmand as we call it. So we say the Anda means the egg of Brahma, is Brahmand. Alright, the Brahman came into being. Now when Brahman came into being, all the elements, things like that, started mixing around with each other, and the creative energy was put into it. Now all this is happening on what is called as the spirit. Spirit is what we say as Brahma. Brahma transforms itself into spirit. See, something like I can have a body, but I don't have life. So the life aspect, that which gives some energy, is called spirit. Alright? So Brahma and Prakriti together, which is Purush and Prakriti together, created. Now what happens is, how do they create? They create in what is called as an illusion. See, I am going step by step so that you can understand how this works. Illusion is like this. It's an illusion. Okay? Actually there are 2. But when you are seeing from front, you can see only one. As if you are seeing. What you can visualize, what you can see with your eyes, hear with your ears, smell with your nose, the senses, all the senses. That is what is experienced by us through our senses, is called illusion. There is always there is something at the behind of it, and that is called the spirit. So the spirit is always with Prakriti. Purush is always with Prakriti, though Purusha is never seen, is never experienced. Alright? While this was going on, the creation of Prakriti was happening. So Prakriti created 5 different kinds of power centers. Powers. Along with Purusha, it created powers. So last time when we were doing, I was describing that there are 5 powers. Good morning, Sanjay.
Good morning.
These power centers are 5 in number. Now, what are these power centers? These power centers are described as, I'm just going to take at random. One is called Lakshmi, which is money, roop, rang roop, swaroop, how good looking you are, and so on and so forth. Everything put together is Lakshmi Swaroop. We have another Swaroop which is called the Saraswati Swaroop, which is knowledge centers. All are knowledge. Everything that you wish to know in this world is knowledge. So the second thing of Prakriti is knowledge. The third one, again, like I told you, I'm going to take it at random, I'm not taking it in an order. The third one is called the superpower of all. That means it is what is called as Durga. Now we are celebrating this particular, the Navratri. And now we will have, on Sunday we will have the Ayush Puja, and the next day we will have the Dasara. Now, Dasara's main deity is called Durga, right? So, Durga is also called Durga Parmeshwari. Alright? Now, Durga is a very powerful power center. She has got all the potencies in the world, that means all the powers in the world. Alright? Now, all the powers are vested in Durga. Any power that you can think of is vested in Durga. Because she has got weapons from everywhere. Then we come to the next one, which is the divine. The knowledge of the divine is given by something which is called Savitri. Savitri translates into Gayatri. All the Gayatris come from Savitri. Savitri is the wife of Brahmaji. Alright? And last but not the least is called Radha. Radha is called the aspect of love and devotion. See, in all these we never discuss love and devotion. So in the last one called Radha is called the love and devotion. Now when you go backwards, all this has come from the Purusha to Prakriti, and Prakriti in turn has created this using the elements from the earth, putting in the powers of this one. It come together like this. Now, all this, remember, has come from the domain which is still higher. The higher domain is called the second divine unmanifest, right? So, what has actually happened is Krishna, when he wants to create something, the spirit which is invisible is always considered male. Prakriti, power centers, okay, and elements are always considered female. So anything that is manifest is considered female. Now all this you have understood. Plus then the next deities came into the picture, which is called Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, everybody. Then the whole deity centers came up, and then the rest of the universe. All the creatures, all the human beings and all. Now, Krishna, what happens is, takes a form in every yuga. So in this, when Lakshmi was coming, he has taken a form of Vishnu. So what he does is, he uses Prakriti, using his own power with the Prakriti, emerges into this domain of what is called as the manifest divinity. So he becomes what is called as the husband of all the Aishwaryas in the world, that is money, matter, all those richness and all that. So he becomes a husband of this particular divinity, and his avatar means naturally he has taken a form. So you will find that his avatar is called Vishnu avatar. But even the Lakshmi avatar is him alone. Okay, so there is neither a female nor a male that way. Correct? Then the next avatar which is taken by the same Krishna for Savitri's sake is called Brahma. So Brahma is also a son of Krishna or Krishna himself. Alright? But it is never understood like that. Then there is one other entity that comes into the picture, which is the husband of Durga. His name is Shiva. Because all the power centers, remember, all the energies and the potencies of the world, this universe, are resting with only one divinity, that is called Durga. So Durga needs, somewhere down the line, there has to be a cessation or an ending of the powers. Otherwise, the powers will keep on multiplying and you don't know what is going to happen. It's an ongoing cycle. So somewhere you need to put a full stop to it. And because there is a full stop needed at that point in time, so a new entity called Shiva is created. So Shiva is also called the Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Terminator. So he is the one who is in charge of terminating all these things. We cannot say again that he is a male or a female or anything like that, because Shiva Swarup has also come in an Ardhanarishwar Swarup. Vishnu, if you see Vishnu, he will look more like a female only. Have you ever seen Vishnu with one big long moustache and dadi and all that? Never. Till today we have never seen like that. And no god is seen with big moustache and looks manly type, nothing. So that is the reason why it is ensured that all gods have this unisex swarup. Alright? It is not by means of sexual union that they get, all these, what we call Ganesha or Kartikeya. Nothing. There is nothing like that. They are called children of the mind. I mean, they think like they cling and the child is appearing. So that is the reason why what they do is they take the elements from the earth and they say they blow the powers into them. Alright? And that is how Ganesha's birth happens. That is how Kartikeya's birth happens, so on and so forth. But coming back to this, I told you the Ardhanarishwar Swarup. During the last Yuga, this Swarup has to take a dynamic form. So Krishna, when he appears in every Yuga, he keeps on coming time and again, because remember, it is like this, all human beings are like bulls. उसको है ना, जब भी दो चाबुक नहीं गिरेगा ना तो वो लोग आगे जाते नहीं है. Have you ever sat in a bullock cart? If you sit in a bullock cart, you will come to know that if you are driving the bullock cart now, after walking for say 2 minutes, and they will all slow down and then they will stop. So we are all human beings, the whole nature is like this. So what happens is the Lord has to take a form to keep on showing directions. Every now and then he takes direct form to show directions. So what happens is, this is the last terminating Yuga. So Krishna, when he wants to take the form, he combines with the Purusha and the Prakriti and enters into the domain of human beings in the form of avatars. Now there are various kinds of avatars. One is called a Purna avatar, and then there are Amsh and Amsh and Amshka Amsh and so on and so forth. It is mentioned in one of the very great Puranas that Krishna, one hair is black and one hair is white. So the black hair turns into Krishna and the white hair turns into Balrama. That is mythology again. So in this last Yuga, the transformation has to happen, because all the energies are going to gather at a very fabulous speed. Everything is going to just keep on coming together. And because the power centers are all coming together, the last Yuga is taking the form of Kali Yuga, Kali's Yuga. Kali is one of the Swarup of Durga. If you see this Navratri which is going on, Kali is very much in the picture. Alright? So Kali Swarup is now very active, but the transition is important. The transition is important. So what happens is this Swarup of his, which is a transitory Swarup, when it takes a form, is called the Krishna Kali Swarup. He is neither man nor woman. He is like I told you, no, there is no man or woman per se. So in the same way, there is no proper definition of this particular Swarup. It's a transition to take charge for Durga, or what we call as the Kali, to take the charge of this universe. So that is the reason why this Swarup, which has come from the second divine unmanifest to first, and from first with the help of Prakriti has come inside in the form of an avatar. The avatar is of Kali Krishna or Krishna Kali. So this is how the whole domain has started. So if you actually are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, he says it is the last avatar of Krishna. After this, no avatar of Krishna will come. That is, the Purna Swarup of Krishna will not come. It will be a conversion. It will be a dynamic form adjustable to the current yuga and the next coming yuga. Alright? What is the age? Not yuga. I can't say yuga. The current age which is there is called the age of Kali. So this 10,000 year period from the time of Krishna's death, 10,000 years we have to count. It's an approximation that it should extend to 5000 AD. Approximately till 5000 AD, the Swarup will be Krishna Kali. Alright? And after that, see, we actually do not consider dates per se like that. We never consider the dates. We go by the tithis. If you go by the tithis, the Dasara is tomorrow, not day after. So if you see any of the northern calendars from North India, it is going to show you that Dasara is actually tomorrow. And but South Indian calendar is more on the lines of because it is basically the south is coming from what we call as the Rakshas Gan. You must have heard of Dev Gan and Rakshas Gan. It's not Ajay Devgan. The Rakshas Gan. So the Rakshas Gan always is one day later. Their calendars are slightly twisted. So you will find that their calculation is also one day later. So that is the reason why the calendar will show day after tomorrow as Dasara. But if you are taking the North Indian calendar, it will show tomorrow is Dasara. You can celebrate whichever way you want. Alright? So any more questions? Is there anything from you? No? Okay. So we'll do chapter 4. This is Canto 3, chapter 4 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vidura approaches Maitreya. Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasada and also drank liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious and bereft of knowledge. They touched the cores of each other's heart with harsh words. एक बार अंदर जाने के बाद सब गलत चीज आता है बाहर, और कभी कभी सच भी आता है बाहर. So anyway, this is how it happened. As by the friction of bamboos, destruction takes place, so also at sunset, by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, after foreseeing the end of his family, by his internal potency, went to the bank of river Saraswati, sipped water and sat down under a tree. This is how the end is actually. So, the Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Padrika Ashram. Okay, who has told whom? This is story by story by story by story. Now Vidura, remember he's been told to go now. Yet in spite of my knowing his desire to destroy the dynasty, I, that is Arindam, Arindam is the name of Vidura. Okay. I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the master. Thus following, I saw my patron and master Sri Krishna sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter from the bank of river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful and they are reddish like the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his 4 hands, different symbolic representation, and yellow silk garments. The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree, with his right lotus foot on the left thigh, and although he had left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture. At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreyi, a great devotee of the Lord and a friend and well-wisher of the great sage Krishna Dvaipana Vyas, reached the spot out of his own perfect accord. Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, that is the Lord, and he was listening in pleasing attitude with his shoulder lowered. With a smile and a particular glance upon me, having allowed me to rest, the Lord spoke as follows. O Vasu, I know from within your mind what you desired in the days of yore when the Vasus and other demigods responsible for expanding these universal affairs performed sacrifices. You particularly desired to achieve my association. This is very difficult to obtain for others, but I award unto you. Now remember, this is while Krishna is sitting over there. This is happening with Vidura and Maitreya. The story is continuing on this side. You see, every time when we are doing this, we will always wonder, no? How come Vidura is there and Krishna is going to die and the whole world is going to come to an end over there in Dwarka? The whole thing is going to go under. All these kith and kin, which is what we call as yadus, they are going to come to an end. How can somebody do like this? How can you just sit over there at one place and not do anything about it? There is river Saraswati. He is sitting over there. Saraswati is actually a hidden river. It no longer exists. If you see, the Ganga flows from the north. The Saraswati used to come from Gujarat upwards. Okay? It used to meet the Ganga and the Yamuna and then flow together. It's a very strange thing. How can this river go up whereas it should be coming down? If you think about it, how it should be coming down or going up. I will come to it once I finish this chapter. Alright? So I will give you an explanation. O honest one, your present life is the last and the supermost because in terms of life, you have awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode, Vaikuntha, by leaving the universe of conditioned living entities. Your visit to me in this lonely place because of your pure and unflinching devotional service is a great boon for you. O Uddhava, in the lotus millennium, in the days of yore, at the beginning of creation, I spoke unto Brahma, who is situated on the lotus that grows out of my navel, about my transcendental glories, which the great sages described as Srimad Bhagavatam. Uddhava said, O Vidura, when I was thus favored at every moment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and addressed by him with great affection, my words failed in tears, and the hair on my body erupted. After smearing my tears, I with folded hands spoke like this. If you remember, this is again one story in another So just try to follow the track because it is going to get confusing as we go ahead. Vidura from Hastinapur, he had gone there to meet his brother, correct? Before that, what he has happened is conveying now. At that time, he had said that Maitreya had met him. Now, here it is being mentioned that Vidura was also there when Krishna's end was closed. At that time, there is another person called Uddhava. Uddhava is one Yadu dynasty who has constantly remained in association with Krishna because he was the person through him the teachings were further given. That is the reason why there is an Uddhav Gita also. There is also a transcendental exposition given to Uddhava to teach to the gopis, that is also there. And now Uddhava is going to tell Vidura also some more. Got it? So this is how the whole thing is. So let us keep the flow straight. Otherwise it will be confusion. O my Lord, devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet have no difficulty in achieving anything within the realm of the four principles of religiosity: economic development, sense gratification and liberation. Ma, all your words are over here. Okay. So it is talking of principles of religiosity. That means what? The right path. It is called the right path towards what? That we are going to see. Right path towards what? Economic development. We are talking about economic revolution, economic development, sense gratification. That means what? You need to feel thankful about whatever that you are doing. See, how do you gratify senses? If you feel thirsty, you have to drink water, isn't it? If you feel तीखा लग गया पेट में तो मीठा खाते हैं लोग. Like that, we alternate between that. It's basically nothing but gratification. That means what? In this material world, everything has to have equality in those terms. So the senses are very important. And the last one is called liberation. What kind of liberation? Not only the physical liberation, but liberation which is called mukti. That's the last one, Oh, great one. You know what this is translated into or no? Four most important things. क्या तुम लोग?
अर्थ काम मोक्ष.
अर्थ अर्थ बोलेगा तो
इकोनॉमिक अर्थशास्त्र.
काम बोलेगा तो सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन. फिर और एक क्या होता है?
मुक्ति, लिबरेशन.
एंड वन मोर धर्म.
Religiosity.
Yeah. So dharma sanstapana hai. Krishna keeps on coming because you have to establish the dharma in this world. So he is here today to establish this dharma, the change in the dharma. So, but oh great one, as far as I am concerned, I have preferred only to engage in the loving service of your lotus feet. Everything considered, see, the reason for everybody's birth is this: dharma, artha, kam, moksha. Okay, four things. But what does Uddhava say? Uddhava is clearly defining that I don't want any of these things. So to go beyond this is very, very important. To reach the domain of which is called the second divine unmanifest, we require this, the lotus feet of the Lord. And that only happens when you have love and devotion for the Lord. Otherwise it doesn't happen. My Lord, even the learned sages become disturbed in their intelligence when they see that your greatness engages in fruitive work, although you are free from all desires, and that you take birth although you are unborn, and that you flee out of fear of the enemy and take shelter in a fort although you are the controller of invincible time, and that you enjoy householder's life surrounded by many women, although you enjoy in yourself. Why are you laughing, Raj? So he says, Krishna has this very funny way of doing things. First and foremost, he takes human birth. We just discussed, he keeps on coming every now and then. He takes human birth, literally, every now and then he takes human birth. He does fruitive activities. जब देखो तब कुछ ना कुछ काम धंधे में लगा रहता है, काम और धंधे में लगा रहता है. He is always involved in some activity. It is called fruitive activity because we always run after the fruits of it. That means मैंने इतना काम किया, I have done so much of work, I want so much of money. He is going to collect his taxes, don't worry. He is a tax man, so he collects his taxes also and pays taxes also. So he has done fruitive activity. Then what he does, he is full of desires. You can see he is full of desires. He will say, can I eat a Haagen-Dazs ice cream? Arey Baba. So you will find him doing all these kind of funny things. He will want to ride the best of the vehicles and he will want to eat the best of the ice creams. I am talking about the Krishna today. Whereas during that time when Uddhava was there, Krishna was also like this only. Then what he does? He takes birth though he is unborn. Unborn, remember the second divine unmanifest is never born. But he is taken birth through Prakriti. Prakriti is his mother. That is why when he comes on the planet Earth, he will always call Maya, which is the delusive force of the Lord, and the Prakriti as his mother. He always calls them as the mother. So it is always mentioned that Prakriti is the mother of Krishna. Okay. Then he flees out of fear for the enemy and takes shelter in a fort, though he is the controller of time. He will behave as if he is afraid of everybody in this world. He will run and he will hide and take shelter also. So you will find that he behaves completely like a person who is like doesn't even have the guts to do anything. And then what he does? He becomes a householder, life surrounded by women, although you enjoy yourself. He will be always surrounded by women. Married, surrounded, all in love with him. And he is behaving like a Pakka Romeo. Okay, Don Juan. Okay. And when he is behaving like a Don Juan or Juan, you can never identify him. Because it is all a facade. It is all fake. Alright? Because he is always lost in the self. Always constantly lost in the self. He is never actually visible. Oh my Lord, your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time. And there is no limitation to your perfect knowledge. Thus you are sufficiently able to consult with yourself, yet you are called upon me for consultation as if bewildered, although you are never bewildered, and this act of yours bewilders me. It is the funniest thing on earth. If you ask Krishna something, he will say, I don't know. That is the first thing that he will say, I really don't know. And then he will call all the possible people in the world and he will say, oh, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? This is a very funny thing. So you will find that there is no limitation to the knowledge because knowledge doesn't stem. See, knowledge normally lies in everybody's what we call as mind and intellect. Supposedly over there. But he doesn't have a mind, he is mindless and he has no intellect also. And because there is no mind and there is no intellect, what happens to this person? He behaves like a normal human being who will be always dependent on somebody else and he will say, oh, can you show me this, can you show me that, is this possible, can you show me this? So like that, so he keeps on consulting. So again he is called these people, so he is wondering, why is he consulting me? I don't understand why he is consulting me. It's very, very strange. My Lord, kindly explain to us if you think us competent to receive it. The transcendental knowledge which you gave enlightenment about yourself and which you explained before to Brahmaji. So here what he says is, Oh, you have called us over here to give some knowledge. This is a knowledge for enlightening somebody. Now, you have given this to Brahmaji earlier. When I thus express my heartfelt desires unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed God, Lord, instructed me about his transcendental situation. I have studied the path of understanding self-knowledge from my spiritual master, Personality of Godhead, and thus, after circumambulating him, I have come to this place, very much aggrieved due to separation. My dear Vidura, now I am mad for want of pleasure of seeing him. And just to mitigate this, I am now proceeding to Badrikashram in the Himalayas for association as I have been instructed by him. This is a time when Uddhava is conveying to Vidura, I have been given this knowledge. Now imagine the knowledge is not mentioned here so far, isn't it? But we have done it. If some of you have been a party to it, we have done what is called as the Uddhav Gita. Alright? So those who have been with us, in the past will have this idea that Uddhav Gita has been concluded. And that is the reason why it is not mentioned over here. So only the thread of the story is continuing, because remember, the Bhagavata is about story. My dear Vidura, now I am mad for want of pleasure of seeing him. Now Krishna is no longer there. Uddhava has come and he is telling Vidura the whole thing. So now he is going to this other place called Badrikashram, as he is instructed by his Guru. There in Badrikashram, the Personality of Godhead, in his incarnation of the sage Nara and Narayan, has been undergoing great penance since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. So whom is he supposed to go and meet over there? Nar and Narayan. Both of them are in Badrikashram. Sri Sukdev Goswami said. After hearing from Uddhava all the annihilation of his friends and relatives, the learned Vidura pacified his overwhelming bereavement by dint of his transcendental knowledge. While Uddhava, the chief and the most confidential among the devotee of the Lord, was going away, Vidura in affection and confidence questioned him. Vidura said, O Uddhava, because the servants of Vishnu, the Lord wanderer in the interest of serving others, it is quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord himself. So Vidura is requesting Uddhava to give a certain amount of knowledge to him. Sri Uddhava said, you may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He is directly instructed by Krishna while he was about to quit his mortal world. So Uddhava is directing Vidura to this other sage, Maitreya. And he says, why don't you go and consult with him and get the knowledge from him? Because when Krishna was going away, he has instructed him also. Sukdev Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc. on the bank of Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it was a moment, and thereafter he went away. So Uddhava gives the instructions that, see, I can't give you this knowledge. You please go and take instructions from this sage over there called Maitreya. Now Uddhava is met him while they are near Yamuna. The king inquired, at the end of the pastime of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vishnu and the Bhoja dynasty, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? This is a question asked by the king. Who is the king? Parikshit. Parikshit is asking Sukdev. See, too many stories within stories, so complications are there, no doubt about it. But Sukdev is being asked by Parikshit, can you tell me, please, when this whole thing was happening, Uddhava, why is Uddhava the only person remaining over there? Okay. What is the reason for him only being there? And also what happened to the rest of the people? Sukdev Goswami said, my dear king, the cursing of the Brahmana was only a plea, but the actual fact was the supreme desire of the Lord. He wanted to disappear from the face of the earth after dispatching his excessively numerous family members, he thought to himself as follows. Today he is telling Parikshit what Krishna thought about. Now I shall leave the vision of this mundane world, and I see that Uddhava, the foremost of my devotees, is the only one who can be directly entrusted with knowledge about me. So, since his end is close by, Krishna has decided that Uddhava is the only person to whom knowledge can be imparted so that it can proceed ahead in the world. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So Uddhava has to remain behind after everybody is dead, including Krishna who goes away, so that Uddhava can pass on this information further. Sukdev Goswami informed the king that Uddhava, thus being instructed by Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage size of Badrikashram and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. Vidura also heard from Uddhava about the appearance and the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the super soul in the mortal world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. Incidentally, this is a fact which is there in every life of Krishna. Whenever he comes, the sages are very much keen on knowing why and the wherefores of why he is over there. Because when he comes and he goes, there is some activity about to happen. And that activity is a very, very important activity during that particular moment in time. So that is the reason why these sages are always around so that the knowledge can be further given. The Lord's glorious acts and his acceptance of various transcendental forms for the performance of extraordinary pastime in the mortal world are very difficult for anyone other than his devotees to understand. And for the beast, they are simply a mental disturbance. So the only people who can understand this is the Krishna's own. That is, those who come from this second divine unmanifest, as what we call them as gopis. They are the only people who can actually understand why he is over there. And they are a part of his circle. Whereas the rest of the people in the material world have absolutely no clue or understanding of his activities. Understanding that he was remembered by Lord Krishna while quitting the world, Vidura began to cry loudly, overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love. After passing a few days on the bank of river Yamuna, Vidura, the self-realized soul, reached the bank of Ganga, where the great sage Maitreya was situated. So this ends the chapter 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3. So we will do the chapter 5 tomorrow. Alright? So is there any question? It's not like this. The reason why everybody in this material world, because we are all born of the elements, we carry impressions of this body. Just think about it from this point of view. You see, there is a bottle of kerosene. I can wash it as many times if I want to. Now, can I put drinking water in that? No. It will always smell of kerosene, isn't it? And that is what happens to this body. This body is comprising of elements. The elements have their own qualities, isn't it? They have the qualities, material qualities. Because we have the material qualities and this particular body has come from the earth and it has the other bodies within. There are multiple bodies, isn't it? I told you, it's not only the physical body that is there, there are multiple bodies. Every body has come from this past with past impressions. So as much as we can try making a donkey into a man, it is impossible. Because the man is always going to be a donkey at the end of the day. Right? Krishna or the sages, when they have to take a form, they also have to use the elements from the material world. See, they are going to accept a body from the Prakriti. That means it is like when you go for booking of your aircraft, when you go to book your flight, are you not going to sit in a seat which was already occupied by somebody, and before that by somebody, and before that by somebody? It is exactly how it works. Now just imagine the person who had occupied the seat before had torn the seat or left some chewing gum on it. What happens? You are going to get into trouble. What's the next person who sits on it is going to get into trouble. So every body that is being taken by the individual carries its tendencies. So you will find that some of you will be sleepy. There are certain people who come to the satsang only to sleep. Have you not noticed it? Some people will come and they will be like this, looking like this, but nothing is entering. Their windows and doors are open, but inside door is closed. So like that also is possible. Why? Because the tendency is like that. But remember, it is not these elements that listen. It is not the senses which are actually grasping the knowledge. This knowledge is called the divine knowledge. It is actually entering all these 5 doors, that is the 5 bodies, and entering into a zone which is far beyond. Now, what happens is, all these sages and the divine, when they take birth, they need to overcome these bodies first. And the overcoming is only done by the master carpenter or the diamond cutter. My master is a carpenter करके बोला है ना कि नहीं बोला है? और कारपेंटर रंगा लगा लगा के है ना पॉलिश करता है. Jesus Christ, is called the carpenter. Same way in Buddhism, Buddha is called the diamond cutter. He is a teacher, he is a master, he teaches us. So in the same way, all these sages and saints and Krishna himself, they need a teacher. Because overcoming these 5 bodies is a must. And the guru, all these people have a guru, he is the one who teaches this divine being how to be divine, overcoming the bodies. So whether it is a sage or whether it is a deity or a divinity, even if Jesus Christ has to come to be born on this earth, he has to go through his masters. He has to learn. Whether Buddha comes, you see, unfortunately what has happened is, in the Buddhist annals it is written that Buddha never had a teacher because Buddha himself said so. But Buddha says that before I became a Buddha, I have taken multiple births. If you see, there is this Panchatantra and all these other stories, the Buddhas from the past. He is telling in every life he has learned something. So it's a continuum, ad continuum. And in that particular life, when he was a Siddharth, Prince Siddharth, and he became Gautam Buddha or Shakyamuni, that time he reached the final destination called Buddhahood. So that means he has had number of teachers. Likewise, my own guru had 24 different teachers. So in the same way, every human being who is taking a birth, means every divinity which takes a birth, needs to have the gurus to give them this divine knowledge. And the knowledge is not about what we are talking about, it is the divine knowledge. Got it? Good. Any other thing? No? Okay.